serious drought trouble. That's we're having a winter drought.
The snow up in the Sierras, or?
Well, we had some rain in the fall. That was good, but then it just.
We have 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
That's enough time. Okay.
There you go. Now, when we were running this, you're gonna go stand by those back cameras. I don't think we need to do anything with those. Those are pretty set. Yeah, I think the lights are off. The lights are off in there except for that one. Turn those off.
It doesn't do anything?
That just turns off the back of the stuff. You wanna leave that one on. What are you looking to turn off? The back and left. That's over here. I don't know if it makes any difference. Oh, I thought we were supposed to turn it on. No. Doesn't affect. Okay. Does it help? Doesn't change anything. There's a little PG&E, that's about it. To the back. Want to make sure that Linda Reppond plays a little smaller. Yeah.
Can I have a sip of your water?
Yeah. You're gonna think this is weird, but does my hair look okay? Do anything squirrely?
It probably looks better than mine. It looks better than mine. I just looked in a mirror.
I wish these gremlins would show up right at this time of morning when it's time to sing. It drives me nuts.
About a minute.
I forgot my sparkly bracelet. I couldn't find the brooch I wanted, but this was my mother's. I was looking for a different one that wasn't quite as Christmassy, but I couldn't find it, and then because I got flustered, I grabbed this instead, but I forgot my bracelet. It's funny, like, this is more dressing up than I normally do. But I realized something cool. This scarf
Cue music in about 10 seconds.
Oh,
should be a cowl. I'm gonna sew it.
She is flowing, flowing and growing. The river, she is flowing down to the sea. The river, she is flowing, flowing and growing. The river, she is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me, a child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Mother, carry me, a child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya. The river she is flowing, flowing and growing. The river she is flowing down to the sea. The river she is flowing, flowing and growing. The river she is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me, a child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Mother, carry me, a child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya. The river she is flowing, flowing and growing. The river she is flowing down to the sea. The river she is flowing, flowing and growing. The river she is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me, a child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Mother, carry me, a child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya, 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 Ganga ki jaya jaya, Yamuna ki jaya jaya.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anton Mizrak and Laura Berryhill, always grateful when you're the musicians. That was perfect. Thank you. Good morning. This is the Center for Spiritual Living, Rogue Valley. We're glad you have joined us today. I am not Reverend Kimberly Hawkins. She is the senior minister, and we love her a lot. Today, she's across town speaking at the Unity Church. We're exploring ways that we can partner together more as New Thought communities in town. So she's doing that, and I'm here in her place. I'm Reverend Linda Reppond. So thank you for being here. We are expecting a really fabulous unfolding of this service. I'm grateful to say that Nancy Clay is our practitioner today. Teresa Jenkins is our practitioner holding high watch from home. This day is blessed. I'm glad you're here. Let's go back to Anton and Laura.
am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening.
Well, as we come together this morning for our service, we know that the one creator of all is breathing each and every one of us and beating each and every heart. And we know that we're all blessed and sacred. And we know that everything is a blessing. Every person here, every person out there where you are, it's all blessed and it's all one. And that's what why I started with the love and the breathing, because that's how connected we are. That's how close we are. That's how the same that we are. That's how blessed and how available Spirit is to each and every one in every situation, everywhere. And knowing this, I can go forth into this day with great faith, with great hope, and with great gratitude. And so it is. Well, as usual, I'm reading from the Unity publication, The Daily Word, and I have 2 days that I'm going to read from that are actually in, I'm usually reading pages I've already read, but these are coming up closer to Christmas, and I thought I just liked them. So here I go. Let go, let God. I let go and grow in spiritual understanding and faith. Growing in spiritual understanding is the journey of a lifetime. It means becoming aware of who I am as a divine being and bringing that awareness into my daily life. My understanding deepens as I let go of fears and outworn beliefs. I let go of any past mistakes or poor decisions and try to be grateful for the lessons I have learned. As I let go, I grow. As I release the past and embrace the present, I can more easily discern the presence of God in all things. With faith and trust, I relax into a future that is unfolding as gently as a flower in bloom. Just as I have let go of the past, I also let go of the future. I surrender to God within my being, fully present, heeding my guidance through the fullness of my presence and attention. And from Psalms 62:8, trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. And the second reading is, I shine the light of God. Spending time in communion with God lights my way through life. As I center myself in the divine presence within, my inner landscape becomes bright. With each breath, I am increasingly aglow. The light of God burns steadily within me like a candle with an eternal flame. As I shine my light in the world, I am a voice of clarity and hope in moments of turmoil. I am an expression of comfort and faith, blessing those who struggle. I am faith-filled and confident as I follow my divine guidance. God illuminates my inspiration, imagination, and understanding. Today, I make a sacred commitment to let my brilliant light shine wherever I am and wherever I go. And from John 8:12, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Grateful for this light of life and the presence of Spirit everywhere. I say, and so it is.
nature becoming conscious of herself, swimming in an ocean of sensation, discovering the vastness of our wealth. These times are times of great mystery. These times are times of great choice. As we answer the call of our own destiny, we must each speak our own truth with our own voice. And if there's one great light, we must find it all. And if there's one great peace, we must find it all. If there's a oneness in life, we must find it all in our hearts. These times are times of great trials, but these times can be times of great hope. These times may be times of personal struggles, but these times can be times of limitless growth. And if there's one great light, we must find it all. And if there's one great peace, we must find it all. If there's a oneness in life, we must find it all in our hearts. Find it all in our hearts. Find it here in our hearts.
This is my favorite season of the year. And not just because I'm a Christmas junkie, although I am. It is because for all of the world's religions, this has been, from time immemorial, a sacred time. In ancient people, that long period of winter darkness, of making the food last, of, surviving another season, was the turn of solstice was the beginning of the return of the light. So it was the actual journey of faith to go from darkness to seeing the light return. That is, I guess, the ancient story that has found a home in all of the world's religions. So whether it is Christmas or Kwanzaa or solstice or Hanukkah, it is a time of deep recognition of that which is the mystery of life. So that's what I want to talk about today. We are at the very end of the Hanukkah period. I think it's tomorrow. And the story of the Hebrew people is always been, to me, a story of surrender. As they were to light the oil for the rebuilding, in the process of rebuilding the temple, and they didn't have enough oil. That was supposed to last for 8 days. But they lit the light anyway. And every morning there was new oil. There was enough oil to go through the journey. But they didn't know that. When you used up all the oil one day, would there be oil tomorrow? That's a faith journey. The faith journey is really all about surrender. And there's a part of me that kind of goes, "Ah," every time there's the word surrender comes up. That's like, because I have control issues. You might recognize some of those in yourself. I think it brings up all of our issues, actually, because when the task is to surrender, I think we shrink from it. We get fearful. Like, what will that mean? That means I don't know what will happen. I don't know how things are going to work out. If things are going to work out, what if they don't work out? I think for a lot of us, then we double down on the control. Like when we get to that place that sort of feels a little out of control or a little like maybe surrender's the next thing that's going to be asked of us, we like build a schedule, make a list, do all of the things that create order and structure in our life because we want to stay in control. Okay, newsflash. It was always the illusion of control. We were never actually in control. And all of those things that we do to feel like we're in control, just telling you, it's not real control. It's an illusion that we want to believe. We want to feel like we're in control. But then perhaps like me, you've been in situations where out of nowhere, something comes at you and suddenly you realize, no, I'm not in control, never was in control. But that whole like fear of losing control, like what might happen, and the way that, for me anyway, I sort of clinch down into myself, I have come to believe is actually a demonstration of a lack of faith in the divine. That the opposite of control, the surrender that actually is what I'm seeking in my spiritual practice, is the path to living inside that mystery of wholeness of God. I want to offer to you the story of Job in the Bible. Those of you who know me know I don't quote the Bible all that often, so listen up. A little preface to this. The way I grew up understanding this story was it sort of felt like God and Satan were playing craps, and Job was in the middle of it, and Satan's like, I bet I can get him to turn away from you, and God's like, I bet you can't, and like that. That's the reason I hated the story, because like I don't want a God that plays craps with people. But the story goes, and the story I think is allegorical, that Job was a wealthy man. He lived in ancient Israel. He enjoyed favor and fortune and, had, as they say, many camels. In this wager, as the story unfolds, that Satan says, yeah, but that's because he loves you, God, because you give him all these things. You take away those things and he would not be turned into God. And God said, no, he's one of mine. He will. And so everything crashed in on him. In the space of one day, he received words that a marauding army had killed all of his cattle, his servants, and his children. Like everything had gotten stripped away from him in one day. And at first, he tried to interpret this hardship as punishment, but that didn't make any sense. So as things continued to strip away, and he had boils all over him and all of the pestilence that came, he tried to interpret it as something that he would have to receive a lesson from. Like, this is, I'm being tested. And that didn't work either. And he began to see it as something he would have to work through. And that changed nothing. He tried penance and supplication and, beating his breast and, being repentant. Nothing. Nothing worked. And then he began to say, why, God? Why? What is this here for? What is it that I'm supposed to do? And why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to people who are just, evil? He was at his wit's end, which is frequently the surrender moment for most of us. Just bookmark that. He came to a place of just surrendering to this is what my life is. It's what my life was when I was, rich and happy and having that, joyful, wealthy life. It's what it is now. This is my life. And this is the life that the Bible doesn't actually say this, but I think what he's saying is this is the agreement I made with the divine before I came in, that I would live through all of these ups and downs. And as he surrendered to that, God restored all of the goodness that he had lost and multiplied it so that he lived the rest of his life again in wealth and splendor and joy and surrounded by love and companionship. It's a great story. It's a great story because it says if you surrender, God will give it all back to you. Not necessarily how it works out, but I think that part of the surrender of the moment when we choose to just say yes, whatever comes, this is it. Whatever it is, I am here for this. That is the task that is, I think, given to us in this, bag of skin we're encapsulated in. This is our life, is to do this work. It's not necessarily easy. So if you're with me so far and you're like, okay, I'll do it. How do I do it? How do I surrender? Good question. Here's what it's not. It's not a passive thing. It's not giving up. It's not resignation. It's not throwing in the towel. It's and that's the part that I think is often been my story, and perhaps yours, is I'll try to do this on my own. I'll do all the things I know how to do to make a situation come out in my favor. And if all else fails, I just, okay, God, help me. I can't do it. And what I want in my life is more and more to start from the surrendered place, not have to go through all of these steps that ultimately almost never work. Or if they work in a temporary kind of way. So I'm working towards moving towards starting there. That's the life that's the practice I'm seeking. So know from the beginning, surrender is a courageous act. It's not the passive thing that giving up looks like. It requires us to do a lot of inner examination. What is it I'm holding on to that keeps me from allowing? What is the thing I'm afraid will happen? What is the story that's deep in my psyche about what I deserve or what I can have? What are the things that I fear most? That's the work that leads to actual surrender. That's the work. It's walking away from that which doesn't serve. Because I think in the process of opening myself to the divine, I am given clear guidance about what I need to walk away from. Let this go. Whether it's a person, a situation, a thing, whatever it is, it's like I get clear guidance, but I don't wanna. So I hang on and hang on and hang on long past when I know I'm supposed to walk away. And I have to walk away to surrender. Like that's the moment. So it's really releasing a lifetime of control. The task, it's not that we have no role. It's not that like I have no will of my own. Of course I have a will. Of course you have a will. Probably a strong one. But the difference is that I get to choose what I want, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to be, where I'm going to go. I get to choose the what. What surrender is surrendering the how. That's God's department. I want this. How it shows up, I'm going to surrender to. I'm going to let that be on God's side of the chart. That's God's to do. Can you think of the ways that you are hanging on to the how? I can think of lots of ways in my life that I was like, no, it has to happen this way. Like this is going to happen first, and then this is going to happen, and then I'll be able to do this thing that I want, or have this thing that I want. Like that, I will have this like all ordered in my brain. That's me taking over God's job. I'm not as good at it as God. So the task really is to bless it all. The good, the bad, the everything. In the church of my childhood, this was called laying it on the altar. And it's like, that was like handing it over, giving myself over to the divine. Whatever it is that's bothering me, that I'm struggling with, that I'm fighting, that I'm wanting and can't get, lay it on the altar. Lay it on the altar, lay it on the altar. It's actually one of the more valuable things that came out of the church of my childhood, because that level of surrender, of allowing God to just take this, I'm ready to just take this whole thing off, lay it down, and walk away. So how does that work? Well, suppose your issue was this piece of paper. Suppose this was, this was it. So this is what laying it down looks like. What surrender is, not picking it up again. That's the task. Don't pick it up again. Because once I lay it on the altar, once I give it over, I have given it over. I am not taking this back and carrying it again. Because then I just move into a push me, pull you kind of thing with God. And that's it's a way to exhaust me, but it's not a way to move forward. That's just, I guess. So when I say surrendering into the mystery, the mystery is to me another name for God. That's the divine. And what if that infinite presence, that divine, has a plan? What if I can't see it, but there is a plan? By doing it my way, I am going to miss the plan. My plan's going to take me down this path. What if the infinite has a different path in mind that actually leads to the life I came here to live? Not surrendering to it means I miss that juicy part of this incarnation. There's a story I heard a long time ago about how all of that works. And the story was, what if you were given a handful of peanuts? And that's your sustenance. That's what you've got to go with. And there was all of this stuff out there that you could have. But these peanuts were really all you could count on. And then they started to get moldy, so they were moldy peanuts because you were hanging on to them so tightly. And the things out there require you to open your hand and let go of those peanuts in order to get what's next. I want to say that for a lot of my life, I would hang on to my moldy peanuts because they were the sure given thing. Not so delicious either, just hanging on. What if the plan that unfolds is not the Job story? What if it's not all lollipops and roses? Like, what if the life that is unfolding for me is freaking hard? And that's, the devil was like, you take those things away, Job won't love you. That's, to me, been a huge journey. I think those of you who know me know that for the last 4 years, I was primary caregiver for my husband as his health declined. And there were a lot of times that it was freaking hard. Because there was, and then there was a pandemic and blah, 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 how all that, we've all done all that. But for me, that journey of surrender to this role, to this thing I did not ask for, but that landed right smack in my lap, like care for this man that you've loved for over 40 years and just see him through. I wanted to run from it. I wanted to dump it. I wanted to hire help. I wanted to do anything I could. And I knew in my soul this was my work, and this is the journey of my lifetime. So I kept doing it. And I will say that the surrender process, although I'm telling you, don't pick up that piece of paper, I picked it up many times in that time. And then I would come back to like, oh, yeah, let it go. That's right. You're doing this. I think many of you also know that the immense gifts that came out of that time I wouldn't trade anything in my life for. Because I learned so much about love. I learned so much about mutuality and support and giving and the things that I'm actually here on the planet to be and do. So the gift was it cracked my heart wide open that nothing had done at that level ever before in my life. So hardest thing I've ever done, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was actually the gift that I came here to receive. The question is, and I want to ask you this, my friend, is this your gift? Can you, whatever is coming, whatever is showing up, whatever it looks like, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is, can you still surrender it to the divine? Can you, without jumping through all of the massive hoops that Job did, move to the place of going, I receive this. I welcome this. I know that this is the divine path that I have been given, and I say yes. That's our task. Let's pray. Opening into that infinite mystery, the wholeness of all of life, love itself, by whatever name we call it. I call it God. It is around us, through us, as us. It is actually everything that is. There's nothing that is not part of that divine essence of life. I know that that presence is right here in me, in each of us. It is what is moving through our veins, giving us life itself. And I know that our oneness with that presence is already assured. And so as we release our fierce control or illusion of fierce control of everything surrounding us, that we fall into an infinite love, a space so vast and so impossible to describe. We can only call it God. And I know that from that place, the magic of life unfolds. There's nothing but good, nothing but wholeness in living in that space of surrender. And so I call it in. I welcome it. I say, come, come. I receive. I allow this to be my life. I know this for myself. I know this for every person in this conversation today. The yes is at a deep soul level, and for that I am so grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Sagrien jalen doch Churjes Dorchadas erfogerst Veru klaun du in Wosteit Bronig Gunoiach Soljerach Gesjoles
Thank you, Anton and Laura. Beautiful, beautiful. As always, we welcome your financial support of this center. We are doing great work in the world, and your support is what makes that possible. So as you're choosing how to support us today, you can do that right. If you're on Facebook Live, you can do that right by hitting the donate button on Facebook. You can go to our website cslroguevalley.org. And which also has a donate button, but also an address if you want to mail snail mail a check. We welcome your support. So join me in, as I say, our giving affirmation. Graciously, I give from a place of love, knowing that as I give, so do I richly receive. So it is. I have a few announcements. Those of us who are members of this church and live here in the Rogue Valley, you'll be very happy to know we have a live in-person service coming up. Christmas Eve service, we're doing a candlelight service jointly with Unity of Medford at 7 o'clock on the 24th on Christmas Eve. And we welcome you to come to that. That's we have been getting very weary of lockdown. So I'm thrilled that there's an opportunity to be together in person. In January, we have some great classes starting up. So I'm going to plant this seed now, even though it's a little ways away, because as you begin to think into the new year, these are two really fabulous classes. Reverend Kimberly is teaching a class called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. And it's a shorter version of the foundational class that we have offered, but it has the same credit for foundations that actually unlocks the door to classes that require prerequisites. So that class will start on Mondays, starting the 31st of January. So it'll be 5 weeks, starting the end of January. And then Reverend Michelle Ariano is going to be teaching a new 7-week class, that brand new class for us called Mind, Body, Spirit Connection. Revealing Wholeness. And this will be on Wednesday nights starting the 26th of January. So it'll be you can register as early as now. If you're ready to make the commitment and go do it, it's on our website. You can sign up. I think you will find them to be really helpful on your spiritual journey. You can sign up for our newsletter if you have not done that on our Facebook page under email. Or you can email us at cslroguevalley@gmail.org. If you have a prayer request, you can submit a request on our website. Our practitioners will hold that in prayer. And we're very active in our prayer support of all of those requests that come through. So if something is burdening you, go ask for prayer. It makes a huge difference. I think that's it for our announcements. Let's go to our closing song.
This is our last music before Christmas for Laura and I here at CSL Rogue Valley. So we're going to close with a couple of Christmas pieces.
Adeste fidelis, leti triumphantes, venite, venite,
Thank you all for joining us today for this service. I'm grateful that you've chosen to be here. Have a great week. God bless everyone. And so it is. Amen.